Just a week ago, the Epstein scandal in Norway seemed to involve only Crown Princess Mette-Marit.
I think that's incredibly important to understand, that when you engage women in...
But now the situation has spiraled into something far more serious. Norway has been called one of the countries that are most significantly affected by the Epstein files release. The Scandinavian nation is known for its strong democratic institutions, transparency, and low corruption levels. However, the release of over 3 million pages of Epstein documents revealed that some of Norway's most powerful leaders maintain close ties with the convicted sex offender for years. Former prime ministers, top diplomats, and members of the royal family are now under scrutiny. But here's what most international observers are missing. This isn't just a scandal about poor judgment or questionable associations. No, it's far worse than that. Norwegian authorities have now opened criminal investigations into corruption charges against some of these figures, and the country's parliament has voted to establish an independent commission of inquiry. In this video, I'll break down exactly what the documents reveal, who's under investigation, and why this scandal continues to grow day by day. I'm Steven Nikander Hølland, a Danish social science PhD reporting for the Danish Dream Media Group. In this video, we'll cover 3 main areas. First, we'll examine what exactly was revealed in the Epstein files and why Norway has been hit harder than almost any other country. Second, we'll look at the specific Norwegian figures under investigation and what the documents say about their connections with Epstein. And third, we'll explore the ongoing criminal investigations and what consequences these revelations might have for Norway's political establishment and royal family. By the end, you'll understand why this scandal is shaking up the foundation of the Norwegian society to its core. So let's start with the release itself. In late January 2026, the US Justice Department released a massive trove of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. We are talking about 3 million pages of documents plus more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images. This release happened under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which was enacted after significant public and political pressure to reveal what the government knew about Epstein's activities. ABC News specifically reported that few countries have been as roiled by the Epstein revelations as Norway. And just think about that for a moment. Out of all the countries in the world, Norway, a nation of just 5.5 million people, has emerged as one of the most affected by these revelations. But why Norway specifically? I'll tell you exactly why in just a moment, but first we need to understand who's actually mentioned in these files. The documents reveal connections between Epstein and multiple high-profile Norwegian figures spanning years of contact. Crown Princess Mette-Marit is mentioned over 1,000 times in the released documents. That's not a handful of passing references, that's over 1,000 mentions. The files show she maintained close contact with Epstein from 2011 until 2014. In 2013, she borrowed an Epstein-owned property in Palm Beach for several days. But here's what makes her situation particularly problematic. Email exchanges from 2011 reveal that she admitted to Epstein that she had Googled him and found the results that didn't really look good. So she was aware that there was serious concerns about Epstein's background, yet continued the relationship for 3 more years. The documents also show email exchanges where she responded to Epstein's statements about being on a wife hunt by commenting that Scandis were better wife material. She also wrote that she missed him, my crazy friend, and overall these text messages have like a little bit of a flirty vibe. On February 5th, Norwegian media revealed that Mette-Marit had actually misrepresented how she met Epstein. She claimed it was a chance encounter, but communications showed it had been planned in advance. She has since issued what she called a profound apology for her actions, but the Crown Princess isn't the only high-profile Norwegian in these documents. I've made another video about this in particular, and you can watch it up here. But this video is actually not only about Mette-Marit. It goes much deeper than that. In fact, the situation with another Norwegian figure is even more serious from a legal standpoint. Former Prime Minister Thorbjørn Jagland has become the primary focus of criminal investigation. Norwegian police conducted property searches on February 12, 2026 as part of a corruption probe. This happened after the Council of Europe lifted his diplomatic immunity on February 11th, and that's because he is a very prominent figure at the Council of Europe. The documents show that Jagland and his family stayed or vacationed with Epstein multiple times between 2011 and 2018. This time period is particularly significant, and I'll explain why in just a moment. Specific visits documented in the files include trips to New York in 2018, Epstein's Paris apartment in 2015 and also in 2018, and finally a planned family trip to Epstein's private Caribbean island in 2014 that was ultimately cancelled. And now here's why the timing really matters, because during this entire period when Jagland was visiting Epstein's properties and vacationing with him, he was serving in two extremely prestigious positions. First, he was chairing the Nobel Peace Committee and serving as Secretary General of the Council of Europe. These are positions that require impeccable judgment and ethical standards. Jagland told the Norwegian newspaper Aftenposten that he had demonstrated poor judgment by maintaining these ties with Epstein. But Norwegian authorities are now investigating whether this went beyond poor judgment into criminal territory. Two other former diplomats, Terje Rød-Larsen and Mona Juul, are also under investigation. These are two Norwegian diplomats that are celebrated for brokering the Oslo Peace Accords, and they are now under investigation after Jeffrey Epstein left their children $10 million in his will shortly before his 2019 death, and that's $10 million for each of them. Juul resigned as an ambassador to Jordan and Iraq and faces corruption charges over this allegation, while her husband is suspected of complicity. In the meantime, he was the CEO of the International Peace Institute, which is a New York think tank. It's in the Epstein files that Epstein paid for events at the Institute and that the Institute received loans from Epstein. But it goes much deeper and much darker than that. Rød-Larsen is now suspected of having used his influence to help procure visas for Russian models to serve as interns at his publicly funded Peace Institute. One of them claims she was later among Epstein's sexual abuse victims, so that effectively would make Rød-Larsen complicit of trafficking. Another Norwegian top official, former Norwegian Foreign Minister Børge Brende, is also under scrutiny. He is investigated for lying about his relationship with Epstein despite emails showing their planned dinners at Epstein's home and exchanged friendly messages between 2018 and 2019. So what's happening now in Norway after all these investigations? On February 10, 2026, the Standing Committee on Scrutiny and Constitutional Affairs of the Norwegian Parliament took a significant step. They voted to establish an independent commission of inquiry into Epstein's connections to Norwegian citizens. They also decided to hold public hearings on the matter. This is a serious institutional response that shows how deeply this scandal has penetrated Norwegian society. Norwegian police have also opened an open-ended investigation into whether any Norwegian citizens committed criminal offenses linked to Epstein. Coming back to the Norwegian royal family, the timing of all this couldn't be worse for it, or could it, you could say, because at least it takes away some of the flag and heat on the family that is also marred by the trial of Marius Borg Høiby, the son of Crown Princess Mette-Marit. He faces charges including 38 offenses, among them 4 counts of rape. If convicted, he could face up to 16 years imprisonment. So to answer the question we posed in the beginning, why is the Epstein scandal shaking Norway to the core? Well, it's because the revelations have touched multiple pillars of Norwegian society at the same time. The royal royal family, former heads of government, senior diplomats, and individuals connected to Norway's most prestigious international positions are all implicated. For a country that prides itself on transparency, ethical governance, and low corruption, these revelations represent a fundamental challenge to national self-image. The scandal shows that even in one of the world's most well-functioning democracies, powerful individuals maintain years-long relationships with a convicted sex offender despite knowing about serious concerns regarding his background. And unlike many scandals that fade after initial headlines, this one continues to develop day by day as investigators dig deeper into what these relationships actually entailed. If you found this video informative, please consider subscribing down below to stay updated as this story continues to unfold. I will definitely keen eye watching towards Norway to find out what's coming out of all this. The investigations are ongoing and there will likely be more revelations in the coming weeks and months. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.